Now it's time to do centre attacking midfielder tier list. We only have 2 positions left. Let's get down to it. Starting with Arsene Zakarian. Now, how these players were chosen is I have picked some players which have a fixed potential over 170, and I have players at 190 potential range, 180 potential range, and I think I've selected 3 players from the 170 potential range who I've seen be the very best. So if there is a cam that you haven't seen on this list that you like, let me know down in the comments. I'm sorry they're not in the video, but there's like 40 centre attacking midfielders in the 170 potential range. There's just no way I can do that. And of course, I've set every single one of these players to their maximum so you can see what they are like should they reach their maximum. This is Arsene Zakarian. Of course, we have done a Wonderkid spotlight on him in the past, and he was very good. Playing in that shadow striker role, he is absolutely phenomenal because he has some of the best physicals around with some of the best technicals, including that 18 finishing, making him a very deadly striker when he is coming off of the actual striker, the shadow striker. And with good composure as well, you can pick him up for around about £5 million, and if you manage to get him anywhere near his maximum potential and he looks like this, he's going to bag you so many goals in that shadow striker role. Given some player traits of gets into the box often and runs with the ball often, that kind of stuff, places shots is also a good one because he has great technique, and I'm sure he will score you a lot of goals. So where does he sit on this list? Well, he is one of the lowest at the 170 potential range, but when he is set to his maximum, he still really is overpowered in certain aspects like physicals and the technicals that we've seen there. So I'm going to stick him in the B tier. He might drop down into the C tier depending on how good the rest of these players actually are. Now, joining Arsene Zakarian in the 170 potential range is Burak Ince. Now, this is a young Turkish player, again, who's rather cheap at the start of the game, who plays in that centre attacking midfielder role and is technically outstanding. The only problem I have with Burak Ince is he doesn't have the best physicals, and we know if you're playing a gegenpress, you want to favour those physicals. Mental attributes are kind of poor as well, other than in the vision, teamwork. Obviously, decision and composure is great. But if you look at this guy technically, you're looking at levels of Messi other than potentially finishing being 13. The rest of him is absolutely outstanding. That 20 technique, he's really good at set pieces too. Free kick taking of 19, 15 for corners, 17 for penalty taking. This guy is going to be your set piece taker because everything suggests that he should be. And a left-sided cam who tries to kill balls often, if he reaches anywhere close to his maximum potential like this, you're going to get a very solid centre attack midfielder who's going to create you a lot of chances and probably score you a lot of goals, maybe even get you a lot of goals from set pieces too. However, a lot of these players on this list is going to be better than Burak Ince, so I'm going to stick the young Turk in the C tier, and that is not exactly a bad thing, to be honest, because he is rather good. It's just that some of these players, and you're going to recognize that some of these faces, are just outstanding and the best players on this game. Now, next up, we have Florian Wirtz, playing at Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. When this guy is set to his maximum of 180, it's basically just Kai Havertz a few years ago, because he is absolutely outstanding. Just exactly what you need in that centre attacking midfielder role. He has great physicals, 16s and 17s there. When you look at his mentals, everything which you would like to see, he has for a very good pressing centre attacking midfielder as well. The teamwork and work rate of 17 to be exact. Off the ball of 16 is fantastic. Division of 18, good composure, decision making, anticipation. Move over to the technicals, and this is where he flourishes. 18 in passing and technique. We have 17 first touch, 16 for dribbling, 15 for crossing. Along with a few 14s in finishing, free kick taking and long shots, this guy is absolutely outstanding. 13 for tackling as well. This guy is absolutely amazing if you manage to pick him up. I know he can be quite expensive, but my word, what a player he will be. So I think I'm going to stick him in the B tier, and I think I'm going to put him above Arsene Zakarian for now. I think Florian Wirtz is basically what Kai Havertz was a couple of years ago, so I'm quite curious to see how his career progresses in the future. Now, sticking in the Bundesliga, we have Giovanni Reyna. Playing for Borussia Dortmund, the young American, 17 years of age, has already took the world by storm, and he is really good on Football Manager. He actually has a really good starting current ability as well. So if you look at him at the beginning of the game, maybe you can even integrate him into your team from the off. Really good technical attributes, a lot of 17s in there, 16 for long shots, 15 for passings, maybe slightly too low. Mental attributes aren't quite as good as Florian Wirtz, but still really solid. Physicals are better though, a few 17s in there and a couple of 16s makes him absolutely fantastic. It's just the price tag that you're going to have to pay with Giovanni Reyna. And so I'm going to put him in this C tier. I think he's slightly better than Burak Ince, or actually is he? I mean, he's 180 potential range, and I think Burak Ince is just 170. Yeah, we'll just leave him there. Now we interrupt this video because I have been sent a wonderful parcel from Football Manager's charity partner, Warchild. Now, you may be very familiar of Warchild because it is the sponsor that comes up at the start of every time you load Football Manager. And I am very pleased to say that they have sent me this. Now, as you can see, it is a glorious Football Manager shirt with Warchild printed on the front, and I'll put a link down in the description so you can donate to Warchild directly. The work that they do is absolutely fantastic. All the money raised from this year's campaign will go towards funding their life-changing aid programs, from helping children in Yemen access education to reintegrating child soldiers in the Central African Republic and promoting justice for young people in detention in Afghanistan. Now, one of the more popular names on this list is Joao Felix. He has a fixed potential, meaning that he more than likely will reach his maximum in the majority of the games. And we tend to see him flying around some of the best teams in the world for a very good reason as well. If you take a look at him, his physicals are his only weakness, and that's not to say they are bad. He just doesn't have some of the best like some of these other players on the list. However, playing in that centre attacking midfield role, you might not actually need it. He does, however, have the ability to play naturally on the left or up front too, so if you were to play him there, maybe there is a slight weakness. But what he does have, the 19 off the ball, so running off the ball is fantastic. Flair of 20 when he's running with the ball, it's amazing. And if you take a look at his technicals, really good dribbling, finishing, fast touch, passing of 18, technique of 19. This guy is very good with the ball. Absolutely outstanding player. Where does he go on this list? I do think, despite having some low physicals, Joao Felix is probably the best player on this list so far, so I'm going to stick him at the highest point of that B tier. He doesn't reach the A tier, or does he? No, he doesn't reach the A tier, and I'm going to show you why. Next up, we have Mohamed Ibhattan. Now, this guy has the potential range of 180, but I'm going to tell you why he is going to be one of the lowest players on this list. We all know player development is based on a few different scenarios happening in the game, and this can fluctuate and change. However, Mohamed has certain fixed attributes which kind of stop him from progressing as well as he potentially could do. He has professionalism of 11, meaning that is quite low, and that is one of the main features of getting a player to their maximum potential. He also has really low consistency too, which means that he might not perform as well as what he should every single game. And that is the reason, if you do look at him when he is at his maximum, he looks phenomenal player. There is a few weaknesses in the mental attributes here. Some people would like a bit more of a determined player, and I understand that completely. But the rest of him does look good. He's left-footed too. He can play across the front line in all of those places naturally, and his technical attributes are just next level. Absolutely outstanding, but I cannot ignore how bad some of his hidden attributes really are. I don't know, it's just kind of like a bad attitude type of player, I guess. I'm going to stick him in the D tier for that reason. A lot of people might have used him and had some great success with him, and I completely understand that. But for me, I cannot ignore the low consistency and the low professionalism that this guy brings. Now, the Euros has just happened, and one of the players that really shone in that tournament was the young Spanish player Pedri. 17 years of age at the start of the game. Of course, he's 18 years old now, playing for Barcelona. And when this guy is at his maximum, he is 190 out of 200. So when we set him to this, look how amazing he actually is. The physical, 17s, 18s, absolutely fantastic. Mental attributes, there are a lot of 18s, 20 for vision. And if you pair that with 19 for passing, 19 for technique, 120 for dribbling. This is just Lionel Messi in reincarnated. I've said his name twice, to be honest, but he's playing for Barcelona. He plays in the same positions as Lionel Messi. He is just absolutely outstanding player. And I really hope that this correlates to what he is like in real life. I'd love to see players like this just come through and remembering tournaments when they were that young, and of course remembering when he was this good on Football Manager. So if we're judging them based on how good he is in Football Manager when he reaches his maximum potential, although they can be very costly and you probably won't be able to sign him, he's got to go in the S tier. Right? I mean, he's just one of the best players on this list. He's 190 potential range, and he is fantastic. He has really good hidden attributes as well, unlike Mohamed Ibhattan. So I think S tier is where this guy has got to sit. Now, over to Phil Foden then, the English version, I guess, of Pedri. Phil has a fixed potential range, meaning it's not quite as high as some of the players that he possibly could have reached, and I'm kind of disappointed when he is set to his maximum how low he actually is. I think I've seen a few better Phil Fodens myself when I'm playing the game. However, it's still not to say it's a bad player. Playing in that attacking midfielder role, he has everything which you would like to use if you were playing him as an attacking midfielder, advanced playmaker, or even a shadow striker, Tracatista. Anything you would like, Phil Foden has, and I really do feel like next season we can also see him play in that striker role because of the false nine he has been doing in real life, for Man City that is. So, to be honest, let's take a look at the tier list, because overall we know how good Phil Foden is, it's just how high I rate him. Fortunately, when I look at him at his maximum, I don't think he's better than like the players in the B tier. And even in Arsene Zakarian, he only has 170 potential range. I think Phil Foden, and I'm really disappointed with this, sits just above Giovanni Reyna in the C tier. Probably gonna get pelters for that in the comments. But at the 180 potential range, we have Reinier. Now, this guy is on loan from Real Madrid at Borussia Dortmund, and you tend to find him leaving Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid, and you can see him wherever he potentially goes, and I just feel like his career is always wasted on the game. But not to say that he's a bad player. I mean, look how fantastic he is. Arguably one of the best that you can see when he is set to his maximum of 180. However, I do think he also has some low hidden attributes, kind of like Ibhattan, which means that you don't tend to see him at his maximum very often, which is a shame, because if he is phenomenal. There's a lot of 15s in here, but the physicals are outstanding, and technically he is one of the best that we've seen on this list. So I think I'm going to put him in this C tier as well, above Phil Foden though, because if he does reach his maximum, I think he's better than what Phil is at his maximum, and it's really paying me to say that. I really don't like that, but unfortunately it's true. Two players left then, and one of them is this man, Thiago Almada. What a player we have on our hands here, viewers. We all know about him, Football Manager players, because he has been around the block for the last few Football Managers now, and I've used him a lot recently in either saves or in the rebuilds that we've been doing, and he's just been the best player. Now, when he is set to his maximum, he looks absolutely fantastic, especially on his technicals here. He looks absolutely deadly. Plays in that cam role, can even play him on the left as an inside forward, and I've seen him used, and I've even played him on the right hand side as a winger, and he's played really well. The amount of assists and goals this guy gets in that attacking midfielder role is just absolutely crazy, and if you do manage to get the best out of him, then you are going to be reaping the benefits, because he's roughly at the start of the game about £5 million. You can sell him for 20 times that, I dare say. Potentially, you might get a sell him for 200 million, especially if he looked like this on your game. I think I have to stick Thiago Almada in the A tier. I think he's just slightly better than Joao Felix because of how good I have used him, and the fact that his price tag is like £5 million. He's insane. Really good at the start of the game as well. Like, if you were going to use him right from the off, he's still really good. I've used him in the Premier League from season number 1, and he was brilliant. So I think you have to select him in the A tier just for that, and I'm sure some people would have him in the S tier. That's how good he is. Finally then, the last player on this list is Yusuf Demir. Of course, he's just moved to Barcelona, which is a bit dodgy considering that they can't afford any players right now, yet they are still signing young wonder kids like Yusuf, but still, we'll ignore that. This guy is fantastic. We all know about him. He has 190 potential range, meaning that alongside Pedri is one of the best players on this list. However, I don't think he's as good as Pedri when he is set to 190. Still exceptionally good though. Let's take a look at him though, because physically he's one of the best on this list. 18s and 19s there for pace, which we know is probably the most overpowered attribute on the game. If we take a look at the mental attributes, this is where he looks slightly weak because he doesn't even have more than 15 on the vision. Work rate is only 14. A few like composure 13, anticipation 14. That's where this guy, this kind of lets him down slightly. The technical attributes as well, though, is amazing. We have 19 for dribbling. There's a few 17s in there. Where does he sit? Because left-footed coming in on that right-hand side as well, should you wish to have him there. He has some exceptionally good player traits. Some of the best player traits there. Yusuf, where are you going, my friend? Now, when I look at Yusuf, I think he is slightly better than Joao Felix, but I think he is good enough to go in that A tier. I've seen Yusuf Demir as one of the best players in the world on the game, and I've seen him move for really high prices. He's actually a player who I haven't actually used myself, but I think he's really accessible because although Rapid VN want a lot of money for him, if you kind of like wind him up and say you want to keep signing him, the price comes lower and lower and you can pick him up for quite a bargain price. So I think he's not as good as Thiago Almada in attribute wise or price wise, but I still think he's good enough to go on this A tier. What is your opinions? Do you agree with this? Would you like to see other positions like the goalkeepers up next? Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.